So this is our deck, and you can tell mostly along this edge and by this massive hole that it is pretty rotten and it kind of needs replaced, so that's what I'm going to get to. So with everything removed now, you can see it's not too good along the lengths, but where it's really bad is right along this edge, and it does look pretty rough, but we actually paint it every year, and this year, because it was in such bad shape, we left it knowing that we were going to replace it. So here's Blackie Chan. Don't push. But this bottom bit is mainly solid, so we're going to leave it to next year maybe, and I'm just going to be redoing this whole top section. So I'm going to be very careful when ripping them up and try and keep them intact so I can reuse them, but for about the other half they do have big gouges and holes in them where they've just rotten. So I'm going to start by removing this board here because it is the most rotten, and I'll just rip it up and it'll probably get destroyed in the process, but by ripping it up it means I'll be able to move either way and try and take the boards out while keeping them intact. Just a big slab of rubber that's handy for kneeling on. Up enough to get this boy in. There we go. If this one right, put it in here. There we go. There we go. First board off. So this deck is 12 years old, if I remember correctly, and as you can see, the actual beams underneath are still in very good shape, except for this one down the end here. And my guess is because all the water splashes against the window, runs down, and then lands on the end of these pieces and on the top of this beam, and that just rots everything. So depending on how much it is rotted along the length of it, might have to replace this beam here. So this is the hull I'm left with, and most of it is pretty sound timber. It's just the ends are, kind of rotten. But the annoying thing, excuse me, is that there are nails the whole way through each board, like every meter. So I'm going to de-nail it all before I put it into storage. So these are the lengths of timber we've purchased to complete the deck, and they have the small grooves on top, and on the bottom they have two drip grooves here and here, and these are in 5.6 meter lengths, and that's because we can cut them in half and get two 2.7 meter lengths, because that's the length we'll be needing for the deck. and we needed 24 boards, and because we can get 2 boards out of each of these lengths, we purchased 12. So I'm going to chop these in half to their 2.7 meter lengths, and then I can stain them. So it's been a good few months since we've removed the deck, and the time has finally come to put it back on now that it's summery and dry, and hopefully we're going to get the seals replaced on the door, which is why we didn't put it back on previously. But anyway, this massive beam here is absolutely rotten and it needs replaced. So, I'm going to do that. So I've removed the bolts holding it to the house, and I've cut through the screws and nails, so it should just pop out. So I've got the new beam here. I can just set it in place and mark what length to cut. I had to cut a notch out of the end of the board. That is so it sits in flat here, because this board is thicker than the original one. So to attach the board to the wall, I'm going to use the SDS drill and put in a thunderbolt. And then to attach this board to this board, got some corner brackets and some other stuff. Laying of the deck is pretty simple. Cut the board, set on, pow pow pow, ta-da! The deck's pretty much all finished now, except from this wee gap here. We're just leaving it till we get a new door and all that. So yeah, it's nice and solid, and the oil has soaked in very well and it has a nice colour to it. And speaking of which, this is the stuff we used, Creotech. Where is it? Creotech, yep. And I used it on that bench I made a while ago, and it's just worked really well. So we'll probably recoat it every year or so, and that should keep it well nourished and good looking. And that's it really, it's all completed now. It looks lovely at the moment, and it's quite warm outside, but 10 minutes ago it was absolutely bucketing, so that's Northern Ireland weather for you.